Very tiring is the honest answer. Your body's given up on you by that point. You get very familiar with your own mind, I think, when you're out running in the hills, and that can be a very calming, it can be a very scary thing for some people, but it can be a very calming thing.
Hey everyone, so we thought it might be nice for you to meet some of the faces behind KE, and today we have David here, and David is going to tell us all about his love for trail running. So do you want to start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do at KE?
Yeah, no worries, thanks Eb. I work in the sales team of KE. I've been working at KE for coming up to 4 years now. I've always worked in the sales team, and in my spare time I really like music, languages, and all things outdoorsy, particularly running as well.
When did you first discover trail running? What was it that hooked you to it?
It was when I moved up to the Lake District, actually. You know, had always done walking in the mountains, and why not try running up them very slowly? So I think I got into it first as fell running, which is kind of an extension of trail running, and then from there it was a desire to explore the Lake District a bit more, I think, really, that got me hooked.
It's a nice way to get to see a bit more by going that little bit faster.
Definitely, you can cover more, yeah, for sure.
And then what was your first big challenge and how did it go?
So the first big challenge was in 2022, where I did the Lap, which is a very popular ultra marathon around Windermere. It's about 75k, and that was the first time that I'd raced ultra distance. I did it with a couple of friends, and what a day out. Just really very good. Tough, as they always are, but amazing atmosphere, a really great event, and yeah, firmly got me into running ultra distance.
Was that just around the lake, or was there any ascent or descent in that?
You can't hug the lakeshore fully, so you do kind of go round the back of the sort of the Gummers How area around Windermere, so it's quite hilly up there, and then at the top of Windermere you do a couple of the Wainwright Fells there. So yeah, there's a bit of climbing to it, but it's not as hilly as some of the big Lake District ultras, but you do climb.
Yeah, you were feeling it.
Yeah.
And I suppose, I know from speaking to you in the office that you've done the West Highland Way, so I assume that was a good little introduction to then doing that. What drew you to doing that, and how did that go?
Well, the West Highland Way is a route that I've always wanted to do, and it was it brought in a slightly different component to ultra running, which I hadn't done before, which is self-sufficient, point to point to point running, so covering a certain distance a day, then stopping, then doing it all again the next day, and gradually coping as your body sort of struggles its way through a really long route. So that's more and more of a popular form of ultra running these days, and I wanted to get involved. The West Highland Way itself is amazing. I'd always wanted to run sort of in the Loch Lomond area, the length of the lake, and I know the start point of the West Highland Way just north of Glasgow, and I know the area around Fort William, but I'd never linked the two, so it's perfect.
Do you run like around a marathon distance every day when you were doing it?
I think it averaged out at 24 miles a day. So yeah, it's not the same as running an ultra, but when you're doing that back to back, you feel it.
Was there a particular day that you found the hardest?
The first day where we did 28 miles in the baking sunshine.
In Scotland as well.
In Scotland, sunburns on day 2. Yeah, it was brilliant. Brilliant. And then by the end of the route, I think we had 26 miles round the back past Ben Nevis. That one was tough as well, but so rewarding.
I feel like the scenery makes it worth it out there. Like, you work hard for it.
100%. Anyone thinking of the West Highland Way, the scenery is unbelievable.
Nice. And then I know from also being in the office with you that you did a leg of the Bob Graham this year, didn't you, for Mind Over Mountains charity?
Yes, yeah.
That's like the stuff of like fell running legends. How did that go? How did you find that?
I loved it. So the Bob Graham round we did as a team relay here at KE, which is something that's well documented on our website, has been in the making for 2 years and was amazing to fully pull off and see that through. We ran in pairs with people from the office, so I ran with Tim from the operations team, and we just made a very good team throughout that. Actually, I was on leg 3, which is often considered the toughest and the longest. In truth, they're all epic days out, which you could do by themselves, and it was great. It was really, really very good. It all went to plan, had amazing weather,
Yeah.
and some of the mountains around the Langdales area and then Scarfell Pike are just brilliant. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for me.
That was the sunrise leg, wasn't it?
That was the sunrise.
And thankfully you got a nice sunrise
yeah,
for it
so
as
that
well.
was, you got right into the Langdales at, I think we got there at about 5:36, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly, just for, and around that time when we did it at the end of April, beginning of May was, the sun was perfect.
How did you find running in the dark? Was it okay?
It's okay. That's something that comes with practice. We did most of the climbing in the dark, so actually
Yeah.
you're not running as far, but as long as you've got a good head torch and you've done it before, and that's where wrecking a route really helps. So we knew where we were going already because we'd done it a couple of times. So the first hour 20 was in the dark, but we managed.
At least you can't see how far you've still got to go.
That's true, yeah.
And then I know you've ran a few ultra marathons. How did it feel crossing the finish line of your very first one?
Very tiring
Yeah.
is the honest answer. Your body's given up on you by that point. Your mind's probably given up on you and then come back. It's such a roller coaster. Every time I've got through to the last few miles of an ultra, I've got a second wind, which is great. It's quite common for people to say that. They're absolutely down in the pits and then they get a second boost towards the end of the race. So that's always happened to me. The feeling crossing the finish line for the first time, very tiring, but the relief that you get to be like, I've finally done it.
I don't have to run anymore.
Don't have to run anymore. I can go and have a rest and some food. But amazing feeling.
Yeah.
Really, really
For
good.
anyone who doesn't know, obviously, because I feel like a half marathon distance is known quite a lot and a marathon distance is known, how far is an ultra marathon? Am I right in saying it can differ the distance?
So my definition of an ultra is anything that starts from 50 kilometres upwards.
Yeah.
There's this sort of grey area where if it's over a marathon, it technically counts as an ultra, which I don't necessarily buy into. I think it should be 50k plus.
Yeah.
Most standard ultras will style themselves from 50k upwards. So from there, it could be anything. So you could do 50k could be an ultra, 100k, 100 miles, and then the distances just expand to like multi-day, 1,000-mile
Crazy stuff.
transcontinental stuff. So anything from 50k upwards. It's a huge field, but a sort of standard ultra marathon, I would say, is from anything conventionally between 50k and about 100 miles are your most common distances.
Yeah. And these are like, these aren't easy things to do. How do you find that trail run has changed you as a person, not just as a runner?
Well, it makes you much more self-sufficient, I think. If you go out for a big run in the hills and around the Lake District, you've got to be prepared for all sorts, bad weather, changing weather, navigation, and your own sort of fatigue. And if you go out solo running, which I like to do at times, you've got to be prepared for that. You've got to know your own capabilities and test them, but you've got to be very prepared. So you definitely become much more reliant, self-reliant as an ultra runner. And you do test your limits. You find out what you're capable. You find that you're often in ultras and in long runs as well, that you can push a bit further than you think. So it's a really good exercise in mental fortitude, and you also get fitter as a result if you can do long days in the mountains.
That confidence can then translate to other aspects in your life. Like, because you know that you can do these really tough things, and it's like that translates into other areas. Yeah,
definitely. You get very familiar with your own mind, I think, when you're out running in the hills, and that can be a very calming, it can be a very scary thing for some people, but it can be a very calming thing. And then that just, that definitely gives you confidence for other things because you know yourself very well, so you can just turn that into other aspects as well. Really cool. Really, really useful skill to develop.
And then compared to road running or like running at the gym, what do you think trail running gives you? Do you think that plays into that?
I think the difference between, the main thing that I would say as an advantage for trail running is the scenery. And just if you're someone that really loves the outdoors and really likes the nature, and if you're lucky, as we are, to live in the Lake District, then it's a no-brainer. Road running's got an awful lot going for it as well. But trail running, I think just scenery you're never going to match. And it's a much more varied run than road, where you're often just sort of running at a steady rhythm, eating up the tarmac, whereas trail running or fell running, you've got much more sort of up and down, changes in pace,
so much variation.
So much more variation, which a lot of people like as their sort of preferred way of running. you can also tack on some really cool stuff when you're trail running. You can tack on a
Yeah.
ridge. You can do a really sort of hair-raising, adrenaline-fueled descent, which you can't necessarily do on road. It's got the whole lot, really.
Yeah, it's just that extra level of thrilling then.
Yeah, yeah.
And then obviously you just mentioned we're very spoilt by them in the Lake District, but you've actually been to Chamonix on one of our own trail running trips.
Yeah.
How was that?
Amazing. So Chamonix is incredible. I'd always wanted to go and run there, and this was my first kind of real foray to Chamonix, and it was a brilliant trip. It was so the trip is actually our classic Trails of Chamonix trip, which I mean I cannot recommend highly enough. It was brilliant. You're doing some of the best trails around there, which are perfectly set up for runners, and just to do that for a week was a dream.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, loved it, and I'm going back in a week's time.
Oh yeah, are you doing the Tour de Mont?
Tour de Mont Blanc,
Yeah.
which goes through the Chamonix Valley very early on, so it'll be a nice revisit of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be amazing. I'm really, really jealous.
do
And then, yeah, so I assume, because you're used to running either by yourself or with like mates after work, how was
Yeah.
it running in a guided group when you went to Chamonix?
Different, but really good, actually. What I liked was I take my friends' reasons for running, or, you know, colleagues as well, their reasons for granted. But to actually see a load of people that have made, I say, the effort, they've given up their time, they've given up their money,
Yeah.
they've really invested into going on this running trip. So
Yeah, that's their version of a holiday.
absolutely, yeah, exactly. They had really kind of bought into it a lot, and to hear all of their stories and to know that I was with a group of people that automatically really cared about running was very cool. And as a group, we gelled together really, really well. And you learn a lot as well, like with a running
Yeah.
group, both from the guide, but also from people that have been running for most of their lives. You pick up a thing or two, and yeah, it's just good to run with randomers who are all kind of joined together by their love of running and also of the area that they're
Yeah.
exploring.
And then I think my last question is, what would you say to a trail runner who's never considered going to run abroad? Because you're going back for a second time. So
Yeah, I am, and I've also run in other countries as well when I've visited. It's one of my favourite ways of exploring around. So yeah, this one's really simple. I would go, first of all, keep it nice and easy, and I'd go to somewhere that is very well catered for running. So straight off the bat, we've talked about Chamonix. That would be a great place to go. I would also have a look at the Dolomites. They're just running havens, really.
the
So
Dolomites would be amazing.
the Dolomites
Yeah.
is firmly on my list. It looks incredible, and they just get running out there.
Yeah.
So I would say that as a destination first, because all the infrastructure's there. You probably would meet other people out on the trails. You probably see other people out on the trails that are running, which will just help with people's confidence. You don't
Yeah.
want to feel early on like you're the only one who's doing that type of sport, I think. So get yourself out to somewhere like there. If you are watching this and you're from Europe, come and run in the Lake District. I'd say exactly the same thing.
We've got good fellas.
Yeah,
for it.
it's good up
Yeah.
here. So yeah, definitely pick somewhere nice and easy, and then just increase your confidence and expand from there.
Nice. Well, thank you for taking time to chat to us about that today, David. And if you have any questions, I'm sure just reach out and David will answer them for you.
Of course.
Thank you.